Hello, TubeBuddy subscribers and friends of TubeBuddies. Welcome to today's live stream, which we are having a panel full of some pretty amazing women. My name is Trina Little. If we have not met here before, I do live streaming here on TubeBuddy. But I really want to open this up and start introducing these ladies. The first thing I do want to do, though, is thank you so much, Rob and TubeBuddy, for allowing us ladies to have this platform here today to talk about women on YouTube and some of the issues and the struggles and what some of us as women creators deal with creating here on YouTube. So I want to go ahead and open it up to all the ladies that are joining us here today. So I would love for each one of you to go ahead and share who you are and what your channel is all about. So I'm going to go clockwise on my screen, and I'm going to start with Catherine.
Yeah. Hey guys, what's up? My name is Catherine. I've got a channel named Catherine Manning, and I mainly share YouTube tips and tricks and how to grow on YouTube. I try to share my experience, all of my struggles with growing my channel because it took a very, very long time. And then I also just started a vlog channel a couple months back where I share a little bit more of my personal life.
I love it. I think we all were talking a little bit earlier. We've loved watching your journey, and I can't wait to hear a little bit more later here on some of your tips and what you've realized as you've grown your channel this past year. Meredith, why don't you share who you are and what your channel's all about?
Awesome. Thanks. So my name is Meredith Marsh, and over on my channel, it's mostly dedicated to helping your side hustle thrive with video. I do a lot of video editing, creation, tutorials, and I mostly am about the whole side hustle life, working on your own dreams and your own ideas while you have a full-time job or you're managing your family and those kinds of things, and growing your YouTube channel, of course. So that's what I'm all about.
Awesome. I think, Meredith, I know you the longest out of everybody here, so you get that gold star for the day.
Yay!
So go ahead, Diana, share with us what your channel is all about.
Well, my name is Diana Gladney. I'm native out of St. Louis, Missouri, and my channel is all about helping you simplify the video creation process, and it's built for entrepreneurs. And so a lot of YouTube was just either like the photography side or the cinematography side, and it's just like, yeah, we don't need all that. So it's all about helping a busy entrepreneur simplify the video creation process so you can reach wider, connect deeper with those people that need you the most using video.
That's awesome, and I love your pink lighting in the back.
Oh, I thank you.
So fancy. And Desiree, you're up next.
All right, gal. You guys probably know me or not know me, but my name is Desiree Martinez. I am helping you grow your business with better social media content marketing over on YouTube, but I'm also the hostess of the Women of YouTube podcast, which is also brought to you by our good friends here at TubeBuddy. And I am just really focused on helping solopreneurs, small businesses, individuals with using content marketing, social media, and video to grow their brand in smart, efficient ways, because we all busy and we need to make it a little bit easier.
Yes, absolutely. And let's wrap it all up with Zaylee. Go ahead and share with us what your channel is all about.
Thank you. Hey guys, I'm Zaylee Barkley. I'm a visual content creation coach. I love helping you give value and stop the scroll, and stand out online. I'm also a Thinkific expert, so I love working with course creators to help them build, market, and sell with video content as well.
That's great. And I do think you win for the best background of the day. So we will give you that gold star for the day. And just so you know, my channel is all about helping specifically women business owners. I help a lot of women business owners figure out how to use YouTube to grow their leads organically. So get clients, build their email list organically with video. Now, being here on TubeBuddy, we are going to talk a lot about growing our channels and the advice that we have for people just getting started on YouTube or who are potentially struggling growing on YouTube, and really how TubeBuddy has helped us with some of their tools. But I want to kind of, since this is a ladies group and this is the Women of YouTube group, I want to talk a little bit about women creators on YouTube specifically, and maybe some of the things we experience that our male counterparts don't experience, or maybe we experience a little bit more than they might. So I would love for us to have a discussion about, that imposter syndrome and potentially getting over that perfectionism and needing to look our best on YouTube. So those tend to be when my students come to me, or somebody that comes to me about starting YouTube, that's really where they're struggling. Like they feel they need to look their best, or they don't feel they're an expert yet. How do you guys feel about this particular topic, or how have you overcome these kind of issues to show up on YouTube?
Yeah,
Is it
I
just a
can
free
start.
That's, I think.
Go ahead, Zaylee.
Yeah, sure. I feel like for a woman, especially when we look at imposter syndrome, it really affects high achievers, like women who are completely killing it. They're qualified. We really go through imposter syndrome the most. And so I feel like that's the thing. Like you question yourself so many times before you do something. There's that inner critic or things that we were taught that we shouldn't be doing, or, look, I forgot how we say it. Women should be seen and not heard. Things like that, I think, really get in the way of us even showing up on camera to begin with.
Absolutely. Catherine, I think you had something to say as well.
Yeah. So when I started to really grow on YouTube, I got a ton of comments saying that the only reason I was growing was because I was good looking, that I had blue eyes, and that was the only reason that YouTube liked me. And that was really kind of disheartening to hear that from other people. But I don't know, that also goes, like, it's something then that you think about and you discredit yourself and all of your hard work. And I don't think that it is healthy, because I have worked my butt off to get to the point that I'm at today. But on the flip side, you said something about like wanting to show up and like look great all the time. When I was first getting started on YouTube, I thought that I had to have my hair done, my makeup done. I thought that I had to be absolutely perfect to come on camera. And it took me a long time to realize, one, that's just not who I am. I don't wear a ton of makeup. But two, I would rather show up as myself. And I think it's more authentic to just show up on camera. Like, you don't have to look perfect all the time.
No, absolutely not. Did anybody else want to talk about, how they kind of got over? Yeah, Meredith.
Oh, I was just going to say, I still feel like I have to put makeup on for every video. One day recently, I didn't go and like reapply more mascara when I went to record a video, and I thought, this is good. This looks natural. And somebody actually commented, and it was another woman that said, I don't like this makeup look on you. And I was like, okay. So I do wear makeup in all my videos. I don't always do my hair. Sometimes I just throw it up in a bun or something. But I feel like this is the way that I look most of the time anyway. So it's not like I'm doing a bunch of extra work on my face.
Yeah, and I do feel like that's something that us as women do deal with on YouTube, because not only are we worried about what the men may say watching us, but I feel like women are much more criticized by other women than, say, I'm pretty sure like a female wouldn't reach out to a male and say, oh, I think you maybe should put a little bit more mascara on. So how do you guys deal with some of the comments like that in your videos? Because I've gotten a lot of requests about how to deal with those kinds of comments, or how to deal with troll comments that you do get.
I got this one first.
Okay, I'll come after you then.
Okay, so I'm going to come at this in like twofold. Number one, at the very beginning, I dealt with the issue where it was reflective of my size. Like, I am not small, I'm a plus size woman, and I would literally get comments from people that are like, why are you so big? You're too fat to listen to. Why did you think you should create YouTube videos? Or it's like, go be a plus size fashion blogger. Like, all these like unnecessary, completely unrelated things that had nothing to do with what I was talking about. And I had this moment with myself where it was like, one, time to go block some very specific words that are completely unnecessary in my comments so they don't see those anymore. And two, I had to really think to myself, look, this is a reflection of them, not a reflection of me. I am showing up. I am giving lots of value. And I can go through any one of my videos, comments, and see a fantastic amount of people asking questions, thanking me for this content, wanting to know more, how they can get access to more and doing more and leading down different things. I think that the biggest thing that we as people, especially though with women, is that we need to get over this obsession of the negative and focus on the 10 times more positives that are way out there. And I think that this is also, I can back this up with the fact that I have interviewed at this point over like 65 women for the Women of YouTube podcast, and every single one of them have dealt with negative feedback and negative trolls, and the concern about getting on the internet and sharing what is important to them that they love, that they care about, and like them being concerned about like trolls or negative comments, and then actually having them and having to deal with things like, how do I keep my family safe? How do I keep myself safe? Like all of these different things. And it's a super terrible thing that we have to deal with. But
Yes.
So like definitely being in the tech space, I'm one of the few women, especially women of color, that are talking about cameras and gear and things like that. And so you are like, especially if something comes out, something gets released. And so now you're showing up in the feed and you will get those negative comments. For me personally, I'm of the opinion it's just like, this is my house, like my channel and my community. And so you would get those get those people that would say things just like, or like, why are you talking? Or you talk too much. And it's just like, well, here's how I'm going to deal with this. You know, it's like, so most people, it's like, I'm for blocking certain harmful words and things like that, are just kind of, it's just too much. So it's like definitely blocking those things. But then also I let some comments sit there because I want all the keyboard cowards to know I reply to all of my comments. And I want you to be fully aware that I'm here to stay and that I will handle you. It's just like, so, you know, it's like you grow up in harder neighborhoods, or, you know, it's like it wasn't a Little Red Riding Hood situation going to school. And so you've dealt with real bullies in your life, or real situations. It's just like nobody on YouTube or the internet is going to come on my channel that I know how many hours and how much money I've invested in something, and just time and like passion that you have behind something, and say something and like you're going to get to me. Not today. So it's like, not today. So like for me, it's like, and that's kind of piggybacks on the imposter syndrome, because it's like something that maybe you subconsciously think about yourself, or consciously think about yourself, or like Desiree talked about gaining weight. I've lost weight, I've gained weight. I've dealt with like stage 4 endometriosis and all the things that come with that, and medications that cause things to happen. And so you do deal with a lot of challenges that just really make you go through a lot. And so emotionally, it could be the wrong day you see that comment. I'm still of the opinion of, like, I'm going to show up in more than just my videos. It's like, I want you to be aware I'm in these comments every day. And if you have something that you want to say, just know I'm not going to go be combative and back and forth, but I want you to be aware I'm calling your cowardice out, and I'm going to let it sit there to let everybody else know, don't try me.
100%. I love that you say that, because I personally am a sarcastic person. And when I see, like, I remember the first mean comment I got was, please fix your eyebrows, or something about your eyebrows. I was like, okay, cool. So I responded back, thank you so much for this. Something about, thank you for this criticism. Could you please explain to me how you would like my eyebrows to be done? And no responses. So I personally love that you show up on your comments, because I do too. I love them. I love to just get sarcastic and snarky back. And 9 times out of 10, they never respond. But I do think it is something that we as women do struggle with more than men, right?
Yeah, I think one thing that we have to remember when it comes to this is the importance of polarity, right? So we naturally want to be liked by everyone, but that's just not going to happen. And we aren't for everyone. So just remembering that when we think about things like comments and stuff, not everyone is going to love you, but the fact that, you know, you're showing up is what really matters.
And I saw that Leslie Lowry and Mary Arndt, they both also struggle with showing up on YouTube. So thank you, ladies, for leaving that comment in the chat as well. If you guys have any questions watching us, or anything that you want us to talk about, or what we've experienced, please leave it in the chat. Rob is collecting them for us so that we can talk about them. So in full transparency, this whole panel kind of started to come together once Desiree and I started talking about the lack of women represented in conferences and in the YouTube education and video kind of teaching niche. So do you guys feel that women are equally represented on the stages and in the conferences when it comes to video, tech, and YouTube? And if not, why do you think this is something we tend to get skipped over? I know Instagram 100%, plenty of lady educators. There's a lot of content out there. A lot of conferences have women. So, and I'm not saying it's conferences across the board. I just think when it comes to this particular area, as in YouTube and video, women tend to get skipped over. How do you guys feel about this?
2 reasons. one, their events run by men, and two, they're looking at vanity metrics like, oh, this person has 500,000 subscribers. That's who we want teaching this, versus a woman who has been able to build a 6-7 figure business with multiple streams of income versus just relying on YouTube, but she only has like 50 to 60,000 subscribers. I think it's just that kind of like BS thing that happens, and it's super, super obnoxious.
And not only that, the depth of community that women are able to curate and create is absolutely amazing. So going back to what Desiree said, that is true. Like we're not chosen to do these things. And I think even listening to you say that, Trena, I feel like you have the start of something here. Like where is the conference for women YouTubers that are featuring women? Maybe that's what we need to do, because we're not. And I would take that even further and say women of color aren't even thought, or it's not even a maybe,
Yes, I totally feel that. So what do you think we as women could bring to the table that's totally different than what we're seeing typically at a conference when YouTube is talked about or video is talked about?
I think that hits into specifically where we are today, because if we look into our conversation of like today's topic, for example, and it's like, no, yeah, we'll get to like YouTube stuff, but there are personal experiences and there are things that we women actually only experienced in our dynamics. And it's not just like, oh, I understand and I empathize with you, but somebody that literally knows what you're going through. I had that opportunity to speak at a conference last year, and it was just like for the VIPs and things like that. And I kind of shared what my journey was like dealing with stage 4 endometriosis, literally having a life or death situation experience through that. And it was a young lady that walked up to me afterward with tears in her eyes, just kind of like crying, like, thank you for sharing that. I haven't told anybody that I've been diagnosed and I've been dealing with this. Nobody else is going to be able to experience that other than a woman, because that's something that only we would experience. And it's even still within each other. In our small circles, there are some things that we're going to deal with, just like Desiree talks about her husband dealing with PTSD. Like that's a real thing. And like managing your household and walking through that with your husband and your family. And you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just some things that are only going to be experienced. And Zaylee hit it right on the head, especially like being a woman of color. We don't see us. We don't really see us almost anywhere. So it's like, but when you do, it's like, when you see us, because it's not so many that often. But I don't know. I think that it's not a lack of us being present. It's just a lack of us being presented.
I think one of the things that I've also seen a lot when it comes to conferences, I go to a lot of conferences and I speak at a lot of conferences. And I think that the thing that so many people, especially when an event is run by a man, is they do not seem to want to accept that men and women are different. They think that we're making content that is for everyone. Like anyone can consume this. If you're going to go to this YouTube panel, it's going to apply to anyone, when in fact it doesn't. Because even in us, with us 6 women, we all come from incredibly different backgrounds and incredibly different situations. Some of us are mothers. Some of us are not. Some of us are single. Some of us are married without kids. Some of us have been through, all of us, I can say, have all been through our unique traumas that we bring to the table. But if you were to go look at 6 men in a YouTube panel like this, they would not be having these sorts of conversations. They would not be getting deep. They would be not talking about their personal lives. They would not be sharing their experiences to help connect with their audience in this specific personal way. And so I think that the best thing that we can do as women and as men is, one, accept that we are different and that we have different needs fundamentally as people, and make sure that if we're at an event that is supposed to be for anyone, that you have actual accurate representation of people in different lifestyles. For example, if you're the leading marketing conference in the world, you should, and 60% of your attendees are women, you probably want to make sure that at least have 1 or 2 women talking about YouTube, just like you want to have 1 or 2 men talking about Instagram. It's about making sure you understand that you have to represent those people. And we just have to make sure that we know what we're doing as women is right, because we tend to help more women because of what we've been through.
Catherine, as a channel that has grown significantly in this past year, how do you feel your position as a woman, has maybe been a little bit of a struggle to grow, or gave you that extra special piece that did allow you to grow?
Yeah, I don't think I don't look at it as like being a woman has
Right.
hindered my growth or any of that. I think actually because there are so few women in this space, like we are talking about, I think that there's kind of an advantage there. You can, for one, connect to other women, but two, I am not afraid to cry on camera. And I think a lot of other people are. So for me, it was really vulnerability and connection that I honed into. And that helped me to obviously connect with my audience, which then led to scaling my channel.
I like that. I'd also like to touch on a little bit because my audience watches me manage two small children while being on YouTube, while growing a business. And I know some of us here are mothers as well. So I would love to open it up. How do you, even if you have no kids and you're single or you're married, how are you managing your time between life off of YouTube and life out of your business versus life on YouTube and in your business? Like, how do you find the time to balance it all?
I think one
Take it day by day.
One thing that I was talking to my Instagram audience about 2 days ago was recording or working your content schedule around your cycle, right? And we can't hear men talk about this, but in the follicular phase and the ovulation phase. So follicular, I use to plan things out because that's when we have the best ideas. We're excited. So that's right after menstrual. We're excited. We have so many ideas. So I start pulling my content together. Then during that ovulation phase where we talk more, we're looking to engage more, we feel sexier, everything is just different with the woman while she's ovulating. And then when I head into luteal, that's like, okay, finishing things up, wrapping up projects that I started as it pertains to recording, whether it's editing or uploading or scheduling, whatever that is. And then when I go into menstrual, I tend to think more and my inner critic is louder. And because of that, I can actually relate to what my audience is going through. So I start thinking about things in that way. Like, you're just going through this. It's not, but somebody else is going through this same thought or idea as well. So yeah.
I like that perspective. Meredith, what were you going to say? You said going day by day.
Yeah, it's just day by day balancing YouTube channel and kids. And I think when I first started my channel, my kids were younger. They were like 7 and 3 or something, and I had a full-time job. And so I had to prioritize my YouTube channel. I had to say no to volunteering in my community, volunteering at my church, because I couldn't do those things if I was also going to be growing my own thing and being a mom. And my kids had cereal for dinner, a couple times a week. Or, it wasn't like I went from like a 50s housewife with a full-time job to just like, oh, just introduce YouTube into my life. No, it was like other things that were less important needed to be less important so that the ideas that I had and the goals that I had could come to light. So I think we as moms in particular put a ton of pressure on ourselves to be the perfect mom and be there and do the dishes and make the dinner and do the laundry and all the things. And that is freaking exhausting as it is. So to have all this other, pressure on YouTube to do your hair and your makeup and don't talk too fast and don't talk too slow and make sure your eyebrows look good. It's a lot. And so there's some things that I think you can just identify as being not as important and just keep moving forward and just recognize the fact that it is a balancing act. There's no key thing that anyone's going to teach you or tell you that's going to be like, oh, well, now I have it all figured out.
Yeah.
You will never have it all figured out as long as you're balancing YouTube, online business, and being a mother. You're just always going to be balancing.
For me,
Absolutely.
it came into as a military spouse and now a wife of someone with PTSD and having 2 kids. And being the sole breadwinner at this point, I have to look at my time like it's gold. Like I have to use every minute as efficiently as possible, and I have to make sure that the things that are most important to me are done first. So my YouTube channel is one of the most important things for my business because I understand how much comes from it and how much it brings to other things. Plus, it's also a really great creative outlet for me. So but I also know I have all of this life that can literally change on its head, and that's why batching my content has become so vital to the success of my YouTube channel. Because if I don't batch my content, there's a very real chance that because I didn't batch my content, something terrible is going to happen. Like it's kind of like when you wash your car and it rains. It's kind of the exact same thing. And so it's just one of those things for me that like, and I know that Meredith and I have had this conversation. I've talked with other people who are not moms and people who are and how they go about creating their content and planning things out and working ahead or not working ahead and things like that. But I just know as a mom, that's what I have to do to find success with when it comes to YouTube specifically, because like I said, at any moment my husband could have a crash. Any moment my kids could get sick. At any moment something could happen with our house and I have to take care of it because that's what I have to do because of the position my family is in.
Mm-hmm. And I think it goes to the point of, what Meredith said, saying no to some things or getting help. I know I watched Catherine on Instagram and she's at the point where she's grown so quickly, she needs to get help. Like she's burning herself out. And it is hard to let go. But honestly, I personally have an assistant because now since COVID happened and schooling is happening at home and I have a kindergarten, my time that I was working was more than cut in half. And so I have to be able to say no to things. That means, no, I don't have a Facebook strategy. No, I don't have a LinkedIn strategy. I pick YouTube and Instagram. And those are kind of the two places that I show up. YouTube is the more professional videos done, where Instagram is more behind the scenes. So you really have to start prioritizing as well what's most important for your goals and what those goals are. Is it to grow a YouTube channel? Or for some of us, we have a business. Is it to get more clients or to drive more students into our courses and programs? So I think as moms or even as women that have so many priorities on our plate, we really need to sit back and think, what is our goal? And is this task and that task and that task going to feed into achieving that goal?
Absolutely. And like to speak from like the perspective of not having children, but then also still dealing with a chronic disease, it's like and like Zaylee hit it, like all of you guys have hit it on the head with what is the hammer on the nail, whatever it is, you hit it. So, but dealing with that, it's like having to work around that. Even when I worked a full-time job and I was still doing YouTube at full-time hours, it just still was something I had to deal with beyond dealing with the cycle, but the pain management and the medication side effects and the days where the fatigue is just too much. And it's like, you're almost at the point of passing out. And so dealing with those different things, it's like learning how to manage when is my planning seasons. And I mean like of the week. And so it's like, when is my planning seasons and when is my production season, so that you can work around those limitations. So if it's the day I'm laid up, pretty doped up, can't really do anything. No, I can't actively be on camera or be present, but mentally for the moments that I keep a journal in the bed. And it's like, I'm sitting there and I'm documenting what I can or the ideas that I have, or I keep the voice memos app on my phone so I can just hit record. I literally did that before starting this, because it's like afterwards, it's just like I'm crashing afterwards because I've been up for so long. And so working around those limitations, it's just like understanding. I always thought of it like in ways of a container. We all deal with limitations like from like the motherhood and PTSD and things like that. And just like literally a monthly cycle. But it's like, what are those limitations making possible for us that we can create? And I think no is the biggest blessing that we can have in moving into the seasons where we do something or choose not to, and being perfectly happy and competently fine with saying no without any baggage of the no.
Can we like put that on a pillow? No is a blessing. That should be like monogrammed on every mother woman's like couch everywhere. Rob, we're gonna need you to make that like
and I want to take a pause right now for, if you're loving the conversation that we are having around women and creators and kind of a different topic than that's normally talked about, please share this with your audience. If you're on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, wherever you're watching this, hit share with your audience so that we can continue to reach out to more women and let them know, look, you aren't alone. Because I know sometimes we get get so far into our bubble, we think we are the only woman struggling with those mean troll comments, or we are the only mom struggling with that guilt because I just gave them Cheerios for dinner when I should have made dinner, but I had to take a call later. So make sure you share this video on your platform right now to just get the word out that, look, we're here to talk about the issues that women face on video and creating content. So I just wanted to point that out because this topic does drive into another one that I really wanted to talk about before we dive into what y'all probably came here for, was to learn about how to grow on YouTube. But I feel like this is a topic, again, that is brushed over and not talked about enough, and it's dealing with burnout and depression. I know multiple of us have our own story. I personally dealt with postpartum depression between my first and second child while I was eyeball deep in my business and my channel. And so I would love to open it up to you ladies here on how do you find a balance to continuing to stay consistent and create that great content, but not forcing yourself to burn out or into depression?
Can I go?
Catherine? Yeah.
Oh, Catherine, yeah.
Okay, so I love this topic. I love self-care, time management, all of it. So when I was first getting started with my brand, I thought that if I was sitting at my desk, if I was on my computer, I was being productive. And I thought, because like we have this hustle culture where it's like, you wake up, you grind, you work really, really hard. If you're not hustling, you're putting yourself behind. And I thought that I had to work these ridiculous hours until I realized that that wasn't healthy for me, nor was it actually helping to grow my brand. So I learned certain productivity things. And one of the main things that helped me to get to how I am super productive today is I would just set a timer for 30 minutes to an hour. And during that time, I would have to sit down and get work done. Like I couldn't go to the bathroom, couldn't get water. I would sit and work. And that trained me to be kind of hyper productive when I am working, so that then I have time for other things. So if that is time that I want to spend with my significant other, if I want to go on a walk with my dog, I actually have time to do those things. But hand in hand with that, every single morning, because we all live our lives online, whether it's Instagram or YouTube, every day I am on social media. And I think that that can become very unhealthy. So every single morning, I will take an hour or 2 hours to myself, and I will read, I will journal, I will meditate, I will work out, and I make sure that I fill up my own cup first so that I have more to give to my audience.
Absolutely.
I love that.
Diana?
And that's one thing that I would say is, like, for me, I had to learn to say no. And if you're a giver, it's like that little bit of thought of, it ties into everything else that we kind of talked about, like imposter syndrome and everything. It's just like, oh, I should say yes. It's like, should never did anything for anybody. So let's get that out of the vocabulary. It's like, what do I need to do? And it's like, for me, it's never about balance. It's just about, if like I only have 100% that I can give of myself, what's getting 60 or 70%? What's at 0%, and it's just a flat out no. And that includes family and friends at times, because it's like you have to give yourself the priority for yourself so that you can be present and show up in the different ways that you have to. And so when I would have seasons where I'm depressed or whatever, it's just like, I need 100% of me. I can't give anything away. And I'm very fine with, again, saying no, even to my channel. At times, it's like I've turned down clients because I'm at capacity mentally, emotionally, physically, whatever. And it's just like, no is a good answer. It's a good and a full answer for everything. And so that's one of the things. It's like, but that helps within too, being in good and right community with people that can speak life into you in the moments when you can only speak the worst things about yourself, where if somebody on the street said it, it'd be a fight. So, it's like in those seasons, it's like having sisters and friends that are, and I'm saying sisters like this, sisterhood, having people near you that can speak life into you, or when you say, man, this video sucks, I should just delete it. And they can tell you the truth about you and speak life into you at moments when you just really can't for yourself.
Yeah, I want to add to that, Diana. That was amazing. You hit on percentages, and I think that is really important that we really double down, right? So there's I think it's the Pareto principle. I'm probably saying it wrong with my Trinidadian accent. But yes, and so it's that 80-20 rule of understanding that 20% of the things that you do will bring 80% of the results. So even in thinking about things like that, or is it the other way around? Anyway, you get what I'm saying. But when we think about things in that way, it means that we don't have to dive into burnout. Figure out the things that are actually moving the needle in your business and focus on those so that you can step away a bit. And then for me, going back to cycles. They might end up calling me the period person now. But that week when I'm extra hard on myself, that week of menstrual, when your inner critic is way louder, and you're probably not feeling the best about yourself, I take that time every month. I take that time away to step away from being online. Like Catherine said, we are online all of the time. So I take that time to just rejuvenate and catch myself a bit. And that really gives me so much room. But the cool thing is that because we're creating video content, my audience almost never misses me because I've batched and uploaded in that week as well.
I want to speak to this as someone who is in the thick of mental health borderline crisis. Again, I have not really shared this a lot because I'm still trying to figure out like how I'm weeding through this as myself, because I am not only shouldering my own mental health struggles because COVID has done a real number on an extrovert like me. And if y'all know me, you know, listen to me, even in this talk for the first time, extrovert is like my default setting. I need the outside world and I need people to help keep me pumped up and inspired and creative. I'm also shouldering the mental health of my husband and the mental health of my kids and the mental health of my mother-in-law who lives with me. And it's just part of the thing. Like I have taken on, I'm trying to figure out like how to be there for all of these people on top of being there for my staff and my audience and my people. And sometimes we don't have the answer. And I think if that is the point where you need to turn to your people. And if there's anything that this time has taught me with COVID is that I need to have a way to connect with people who understand me and can connect with me. And even if I can't call them because they're busy doing what they do, having like an active chat. Like for example, I am in a Instagram chat with both Meredith and Diana, and I'm able to like be creative and vent and talk and just have that call. And it makes me feel so much better when I just hate everybody. You know, it's just one of those things like it's okay not to have the answer, but what is not okay is not reaching out to people who can help you and love you and support you in whatever way that it is, because that is what's going to help you get through it, because being able to release will help you with moving through the next steps.
I like that you brought that up. And I mean, dealing with COVID, we're all in a totally unprecedented, remember that's said all the time, unprecedented time. But you wouldn't guess it, me as an introvert, it also starts to affect me as well, because while I am an introvert, I'm never alone anymore. There's no more alone time. There's somebody here all the time. And so everything that you all talked about is great. And we just have to remember that as hard as it may seem, while our to-do list continues to pile up or we can never get through, and at the end of the day, it seems like there's more on our to-do list than when we started. For me, it's been a hard pill to swallow to just stop, take a break, not feel the mom guilt when I say, I need to go upstairs with a glass of wine and watch Real Housewives, because that's how I decompress. That is my me time. That is how I can just start to get my energy back. So I think it's also extrovert, introvert, whatever you are, find something that you can do that just breathes life back into you, because it is so important as we're all struggling with everything that's going on today. Did anybody else want to touch base on mental health? Because again, it is such a huge topic that again isn't talked enough about. And I think as women, we're ready to talk about it, and we are willing to share our experiences a little bit more.
I think being at a place when you can admit I'm not okay. I have a huge problem, and I've had, again, telling friends and having friends that you can seriously be open with, and then people too that understand your journey. So like friends that are inside and outside of the box. It's like, I think we default too much to saying a couple things, which is I'm guilty of all of them. It's like, I'm fine. No, I got it. I can handle it. At times when we really can't, we do need help. And even when we can't ask for help, having somebody there that can say to you, or just say, yeah, no, yeah, let me help you. And then, you know what I'm saying? Like fight you to the let me help you, because you're so consumed with, no, I need to do this. But then also doing that internal work. I've been studying personal self-development for years, is why I love to showcase my books, because it's like, these books aren't pretty. It's on the art of forgiving, and it's about forgiving yourself, and it's about forgiving the bad memories that replay in your mind when you see somebody else winning and you wish that you were in the way that they are or something, you know what I'm saying? So doing that, listening to, and just like doing like mental fast. And I think now with the release of, what is it called, The Social Dilemma, that's put it on everybody's radar in a way that it kind of already should have been for a long time. Where again, it's just like it's saying no to a lot of things, even the things that are comforting to us at times, so that we can go through the discomfort. And I love to have friends that can call me out on my BS. And that's like belief system issues in addition to the other variation of that BS. So, it's just like, but call you out and say, again, like the speaking life into you, and learn to replace those words, those negative self-doubting beliefs that you have, so that you can start to replace them and build them with other ones. So it's like, I think it's okay to admit when you're not okay, and to stop saying that you're fine when you're not, but then also learning to progressively walk. And I saw somebody put in the comments like saying no is hard, and the guilt. It's just like the thing I learned and started learning in 2017, just take daily progressive steps. We love to have the end result finished product and showcase that. And I think it's okay to say I'm better than I was yesterday, because maybe I could openly talk about a feeling that I was having that wasn't comfortable to talk about. And now I can start to talk about it, and just literally loving those little wins to take those daily progressive steps out of the whatever, that we tend to find ourselves in.
That's so great. And I see that Doc Rock said you guys are helping this guy respect. And 100%, this is not something that just women struggle with. I know men struggle with this as well. We just really want to bring attention to it and talk about it, whatever you are, to let you know, like, you aren't alone. This is something content creators are dealing with. So knowing that we're trying to say no, let's pivot this into YouTube. So knowing we're trying to say no, we're trying to take less off our plate. What would you say your number one tip would be to focus on YouTube that got you the most results? So let me reword that. What would you say if they had to focus on one thing to help them on their YouTube channel because, their plate is full? What do you think is the most important thing to focus on to grow a YouTube channel right now? Whoa. No one.
Oh, sorry. I think we all just didn't want to interrupt each other. I'll lead
speechless.
Here. Okay.
I got the panel of women speechless.
I always say this, no matter what you want to do, it needs to be search-driven content. Like, the best way to get started is, like, if you have something you want to talk about, find the top questions people are always asking and make a video about each one. That gives you your first 10 videos. If it's something that you're a super pro expert at, it's going to make it really easy for you to talk about, and it's going to make it really, you're going to get the most mileage out of it. Now, how this could apply to things like a gaming channel or like a fashion or blogging style, like, it's really figuring out, okay, what are the questions people are asking about that thing I want to talk about, and making those videos to get started. And I think it's also important to remember, when you're getting started, you're going to suck, and that's okay, because at least you showed up and gave value, and hopefully were yourself.
I have one that's a bit unconventional, and it is tying back into, I don't mean to loop back into what we were talking about before, but paying attention to your own plate and not everyone else's, because it's easy on YouTube to compare yourself, or on the internet, right? To compare yourself to everyone else and stop in your tracks in your journey, and you don't want to do that. Focus on really knowing who you are helping and how you are serving them, and, focus on those people. Don't focus on all the other things going on around you.
Catherine?
Yeah, so I think it's really easy to think that you're being productive and to think that you're doing things that are going to grow your channel. But if you are changing your banner image on your YouTube channel, if you are changing that 2 or 3 times a month, you are absolutely wasting your time. That is not helping you to move forward. So if you are constantly just worrying about like the little nitty gritty things that aren't actually helping your channel, you're honestly just hurting yourself. So create a plan that you can stick to in terms of your uploading schedule. And if that is 1 video a week, that's good. If you can do 2 videos a week, that's good. But create a plan and actually stick to it. And you're going to need to map out what days you're going to film, what days you're going to edit, but focus so much time in your content and not silly things like what your profile picture is. Like, that's not, it's not going to actually help you to grow.
Absolutely. The major and in the minor. That's why I always try to remember that. It's like, am I just doing busy work, or am I actually working on something?
Exactly.
It's like, so for me, I would say if it was like a tip to get started as far as growing that helped, and it's just kind of universal, it's like figure out what the pressing pain point currently is for that audience that you're trying to reach and connect with. And even if you are doing something that seems like, well, yeah, it is a gaming channel, or yeah, it is like a family vlog, there's still some element of it that you could deal with. And it like could be a family vlog about how I get my young kids used to being on camera, how I got my introverted husband used to being on camera, kind of a thing. Or even video games, just like how do you get past a hard level, or something that you learned about how to get the Easter eggs or whatever the case is. So it's just like, if you can identify those pressing pain points and then dive one layer deeper into what is everybody else talking about, that is just brushing over something, that you can go a little bit deeper and better to stand out in a way that's extremely valuable to your community. So while for me, an example in my niche in space, everybody talks about the cameras, but a lot of channels, depending on who that target market is, they're talking over settings or features that to an experienced camera person that's into the space, they get it. Anybody else, you just spoke a whole other language to them and they don't understand. So when you're addressing that pain point, speak that person's language from the person on the keyboard. Even if it's technically wrong to you, the expert, it needs to be audibly correct to the person that is the viewer and that is sitting in the chair and on the keyboard searching for the things that they need help with. And if you can do that, then you can begin to dive into some content that is extremely valuable and helpful to more than just the average viewer.
So we got a question from Mr. Alas versus Cancer. If you could go back in time and the moment you started your channel, what are the top 3 don't do's for you? Meredith, do you have 3 don't do's that you would have would not have done when you got started?
Wow. I was all prepared with my tips for starting. Okay, so
flip it, reverse
it. Don't spend too much time watching what other people are doing in your space and thinking you have to do that. You're on your own, journey and your own path, and don't think that everything has to be perfect. This is my audience, my clients and students deal with this all the time. We talk about perfection. I had a client that said she re-recorded for her videos 4 different times because every time she went to edit it, it wasn't perfect enough. There's no such thing as perfect, and your audience needs to see you be imperfect because they are also imperfect, because we all are. So don't waste your time trying to perfect everything, and don't overdo your edits. Keep it super simple. You don't need crazy transitions. You don't need crazy graphics. If you have your videos planned really well, what you're going to say, even if it's just bullet points, then you don't ramble when you're recording, or maybe you do if you're like me and you have 17 different takes. But if you have a plan before you record, then editing is so much easier. And it doesn't have to be this 8-hour long chore that you dread doing if you just keep it simple and keep this, create a workflow for yourself that you just kind of rinse and repeat every time.
Zaylee, do you have some don'ts?
Yes. Don't create too much of a tutorial-based channel. A lot of times we are only creating tutorials and we aren't introducing those people to who we really are and what we like, and just being ourselves. So get on camera, show your face, connect with those people. Although we are creating search-based content, especially if you're just starting, you don't want to be that person where we find that solution and then we leave, we never subscribe because I just found the little thing that I was looking for. You really want to create a community. So don't, having trouble, Meredith, just like you, wait, how do I flip the don'ts and the do's? But yes, so insert yourself. So don't leave yourself out of the equation, especially when it comes to building your channel or creating community or connecting with your people. Don't ignore people on your channel either, right? So if people are commenting, they want to get to know you, they're connecting with you, don't just ignore them and leave it. I feel like you are fostering community. That's exactly what you want. And another don't, I don't know, guys.
I think a don't might be don't not plan. So a lot of the times people think, just creating content is great, but I would love to hear how some of you ladies plan your content before you even turn on your camera. What are kind of those steps you do before you even turn a camera on? What does that look like, Catherine?
Yeah, so I've got a content calendar. So I know all the videos I'm going to film over the next month or so. And then I have a running list of ideas that I've just taken from my audience's questions or just random spur of the moments of inspiration, you know? So I always have a running list of ideas. So it's not like it's filming day and then I'm like, oh my gosh, I have no idea what I'm going to film. I have it planned out ahead of time, so then that stress doesn't even get to me. But for me, I don't create full scripts for my YouTube videos. And I know that some people do, and you just kind of have to figure out what works best for you. There was a point in time when I would map out basically everything I was going to say, and I didn't love it myself. So you have to figure out what works for you. But for me, I will come up with what I think the title is going to be. I will then do my main bullet points. Where do I want the video to flow? So like, what are some avenues I want to dive down? What are some possible B-roll scenes I can get? And then once I have the video filmed, sometimes my idea could start over here and then it goes the whole way over here. So I might have to change the title idea. So I go into it with a little bit of keyword research and I know, okay, what are the keywords that I'm going to target? Like, I am such a search person, and I think that is such a great way to grow on YouTube is by focusing on search. So before you even have your video, before you even film it, 1, do a little bit of keyword research. 2, map out the video, but don't be afraid if it goes a different direction because you can always do your keyword research again. So I don't actually come up with the final title of the video until the video is fully edited and done. And then I will be like, okay, this is the direction that it went and this is what I want it to be.
I actually have to do I do a little different than Catherine. I'm like you though. I think all of us have that running list of videos that we want to make and that we're like, ooh, this would be so great. Or, ooh, I got this inspiration here. Or, oh, this video is hot right now. I need to lean into this a little bit more. But because I do have my content is a lot more resource based. I do tutorials and how to's like solving specific problems and then greater problems for people. I usually do create out my whole title. Like, okay, this is my keyword. This is what I wanted to say because I know how I want things to go in my brain. And so verbalizing the title and having that description gives me the guide to stick to. And then I'm able to like have my bullets of like what I need to cover and like what my shout out is to my opt-in and all that kind of stuff. So that's what I do. And I always make sure that every piece of content I make has a way for me to communicate with that person away from YouTube. One of the things I don't think that we have talked about in this call is like, okay, we're really focused on growing our YouTube channels, but what happens if YouTube goes away? What happens if the algorithm like changes? What happens if something happens to you and they just don't like you anymore? Like there's a whole lot of uncontrollable things that come to YouTube. So I always try to make sure that like every piece of content, like I have a way to frame it to send it to a freebie to get people on my email list so that I have a way to keep talking to them when I have new content and I have something to sell, I have something to share. Then there's people to watch, listen, and hit that buy button.
That's definitely true. My email list is way bigger than my YouTube channel. And so I'm in control of the revenue that comes from my email list, but YouTube can do funny things sometimes. So yeah.
So we are on TubeBuddy. How do you guys feel TubeBuddy helps you kind of make sure you're putting the right content out or maybe even ease the whole YouTube journey? I know personally, I'm in the Keyword Explorer a lot, just determining what direction to take my video, because how to grow a YouTube channel could be one topic, but when you start to really do the research and figure out what's the best angle that you can take, not only for you to compete, but also that your audience wants to watch from you specifically. Because if I were to create a YouTube channel, if I were to create a video about how to grow a gaming channel, like that's not driving the audience that's ultimately going to want to work with me or, you know, that's going to serve my business model. So I know the Keyword Explorer personally saves me hours of time figuring out what to create. How do you guys feel like what tools would work, what are best for you in TubeBuddy?
SEO Studio for sure. Saving, going through the Explorer and then saving it all. I don't know if you guys do this, but like when I'm ready to upload a video, it just takes the wind out of my sails if I then have to go figure out, okay, wait, what was the title going to be and what should the description be? I just upload it and hit that SEO Studio button and it pulls in all the planning that I did and it's done. I love it. Huge time saver.
I do it. That's what I say when I plan. I do all of the SEO Studio with TubeBuddy before I even hit record. That way I know. And then all I have to do is upload the thumbnail and upload the video and It saves so much time, because so much, one of the things people get so wrapped up in, I think, in videos, is that they think the video is the most time consuming part, when in fact it's all of the other stuff that's the most time consuming part, like all the pre-production, all of the editing, all of the optimization, and all the things to make it all work together. Like honestly, I record my videos, it takes me like 10 minutes max, like 10 to 15 if it's like a really intense thing, or if I'm like switching my camera angles or something. I'm like, if all I had to do is create videos, like that would be easy, but it's all of the other stuff that you have to do to make it work that's so time consuming. So
I think another one is, as women, we're pretty visual. And so what I found was a huge asset was the A/B test for thumbnails. I don't know how many times I get this question, like, what should my thumbnail be? And a lot of the times when I got started on YouTube, the platform was just predominantly male audience. But as more women started to join and more women started to use YouTube, I noticed that the thumbnails that would do well for a male audience just didn't do well. And what I saw when I did A/B testing is when I tested a typical thumbnail to something more Instagram-y or more Pinteresty, that women have been on those platforms for a while, they're expecting those types of imagery, or they're more drawn to those types of imagery on YouTube. I saw in the A/B tool that those thumbnail photos generally did better every single time. And so that changed the game for me when I was coming up with ideas for thumbnails as well.
And kind of like Catherine said, keeping that running list. I even keep my running list of video ideas inside of TubeBuddy as well. So that's pretty helpful.
So we're getting to about an hour here. I want to wrap this up with kind of giving one piece of advice to all the content creators out there. What would that one piece of advice that you would give somebody that is like grinding, hustling, even though we don't really want to use that word, but they're grinding at their YouTube channel, just trying to see it go? What is one piece of advice you would give that person?
It sounds cliche, but it's YouTube. So be you. A lot of people are looking at YouTube and creating content, but trying to be someone else, maybe trying to be their favorite creator, or, be yourself. And that's exactly who people will fall in love with. And they will follow you with whatever you do.
Diana?
So if you're already like working hard and like pushing, and I think sometimes we try to push through and push, like, I'm going to upload so much, I'm going to make success happen. I think it's always just like kind of like a check your heart kind of a thing. Like, why are you uploading to begin with? And like, do you love what you're trying to do, or like what you're pursuing after? And it's like, if you do, then it's just like, come back, enjoy the process. And I think sometimes we get too much into like the research. And I'm definitely a nerd in that respect. So it's like, okay, I'm going to create something for fun, because it's like, I love cameras. Let's talk about a rumor, kind of a thing, or something like that, like for camera rumors, obviously. But it's just like, have fun and like check your heart on like why you're doing it, and just like lean into that. Sometimes those videos pop and you're like, I spent 16 hours researching this daggone thing I was not even thinking about, and just went live. It just like, it blows up, and you never know. So like, pull back, enjoy the process. And like, if you can check your heart and fall back in love with why you're uploading, like Zaylee said, just be you. I think that's like the best advice right now.
Desiree?
I always tell people, show up, suck, get better. Like, it's just how it works. Like, it's the only way that you're going to grow and figure out the right, like, algorithms change. You'll pop, you'll unpop, you'll have dead videos, you'll have bumping videos. But like, if you're not in this continuous place of testing and sucking and getting better, you're gonna just become stagnant. And what's the saying goes? It's like stagnant is the killer of creativity. I don't know. It's one of those things where basically, like, if you stay the same, you'll never grow, and you'll just start to dip down. So always keep pushing yourself to create new, different, and better content. And I heard this really interesting thing in this podcast today that just like really stuck with me. And I think it's important to make sure that you are creating content that you like to make. YouTube doesn't want you to do things that are different. YouTube doesn't want you to be creative. YouTube wants you to pick your box, and they're going to put you in it, and they're going to keep you there. And if you want to pivot, no, you can't. Like, so just remember that sometimes you just have to make things for yourself, not for the algorithm.
Yeah. Meredith?
I love to say that action creates clarity. You can sit there spinning your wheels and like, maybe this would work, and maybe I should try that. And what if this, and what if that? And you're not going to know until you take action. if you're just sitting there spinning your wheels. So do the thing, record the thing, post the thing, and then keep moving forward, because you're not going to know until you start doing.
Catherine?
Find what makes you different. I was stuck with growing my brand for so long because there was a certain group of people. So I started as a blogger, and I would look up to a couple of bloggers, and I thought that I had to create the blog posts that they were creating. I thought that my home pages had to look like theirs. I thought I had to go down their exact same path. And I did the same thing with YouTube. When I was first getting started, I was talking about blogging and Pinterest tips. So I looked at other YouTubers that were talking about that, and I would go and I would sort by most popular, and I would figure out what was their most popular video. And I was like, okay, I need to create that video. And I would try to do it different than theirs. I wasn't trying to copy them, but I knew, or I thought, that what was making them successful was going to make me successful. And I held myself back for so long because I never really found out what made me different and why anyone would actually subscribe to my YouTube channel. So if you're at the point where you're like, I'm doing everything right, or I feel like I'm doing the exact same thing as other people that are really successful in my niche, you have to realize, like, be really harsh on yourself and ask yourself that question. Why would someone want to subscribe to my channel? Do a harsh evaluation and differentiate yourself in any way that you can.
I love that. I think those were all amazing tips. I think this is great advice. If you guys could say one last thing on how we could support other women in YouTube, what would you say that is?
Share our content.
Yeah, there you go. Way to go,
Yeah.
Bear.
Go subscribe, share. I know a lot of times conferences and podcast hosts ask, like, who should we talk about? Who should we host? Give them who you want. Let them know who you want to see. I think that's how we're going to really start the movement to see more women creators showing up, is if we tell them what we want to see, who we want to see. So I want to thank you guys all today for having this open conversation to really shine the light on struggles that women deal with, and really how we have a different perspective when it comes to creating YouTube content. And thank you again to Buddy for letting us host this on their channel. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.
Yes.
Bye, guys.
Hi.